Hi everyone, and thanks for joining me today. We're going to be talking about scholarships as part of how you finance or pay for college. I'm really glad you joined me. I am Mary Wynn. I am the Vice President of Program Operations at Scholarship America. Scholarship America is the nation's largest provider of private scholarships. We help students pursue and complete their post-secondary education through local and national scholarship programs, as well as emergency financial funds. I'm really happy to be here with you today, and as I said, I'm glad you've taken the time to really think about how scholarships fit into how you could pay for college. They really are an important source of financial support for you. But before we start talking about where to find scholarships and how to get ready, how you get yourself ready to put your best foot forward, I want to take just a couple of minutes and talk to you about why scholarships are important. And it's always helpful for me as I'm doing these online presentations just to kind of hear from a few people to know that I'm not just talking out there into the camera by myself. So just as a way to kind of get grounded, I'd like to ask you why you think scholarships are an important way to finance your education and what you're hoping to get out of this session. So if you wouldn't mind, just take a couple of minutes and send me a quick response, and that way I know you're there and I can see what some of you are thinking about for this session. So go ahead and type in, and I'll just look at the responses as they come in. Okay, so good answers, lots of good answers. Money for college, obviously, scholarships mean money. I think there's also a certain level of prestige that scholarships bring. It really shows that you have done a good job, that you somebody is recognizing you for something that you have done, and that's always a great thing to be able to put on your resume. Certainly colleges take a look at that. They really do value students who come in with some of those outside scholarships, so that's a great answer as well. And then some of the things that you're wanting to hear today, you're hoping to learn more about the different scholarship opportunities that exist. We'll definitely talk about some of those and where you can find them. Want to know how you go about getting scholarships. We'll definitely talk about that. So I think these are all great responses, and I think that this is great that you're in this session, and I do think it will be helpful to you. So as I said, scholarships are a great source of recognition, and back in my day, I won't tell you how long ago that was, but I think they were really more about recognition, sort of that pat on the back, somebody saw that you did a good job, it was nice to get them, it looked good, but really today, while that's still important, it's not so much the case. Depending on your circumstances, scholarships really can be that piece that puts you over the top and really helps make college affordable for you. So let's take a look right now about how the average American family pays for college. This is a graph that kind of breaks it down for you. And while it looks like, and when you first look at this graph, that a big part of the pie is grants and scholarships, that's true. But if you look at parent borrowing at 28% and student borrowing at 18%, we actually see that the largest source of paying for college is coming in the form of student loans or borrowing. And you know, in fact, student debt right now is one of kind of a big concern for a lot of people in the country. It has now exceeded credit card debt, and it has topped the $1 trillion mark. A lot of people are worried about how they're going to pay off those student loans, and so it is something to really consider. Now, while borrowing some money is okay, it actually can be a good thing because the value of your education increases over time, and it is more than likely that it's going to pay for itself. However, you don't want to rely completely on student loans. And one important way for you and your families not to rely so heavily on student loans is to look for scholarships. Now, while most scholarships are not going to pay for all of your expenses, unfortunately, I mean, there are some large scholarships out there. You may have heard of some. Sometimes somebody gets a full ride, especially if they're an athlete, or maybe they're super smart and in a field, and they may get a very large scholarship. Generally speaking, I mean, those are fewer and far between. However, the good news is, though, that there really are hundreds of millions of dollars out there that are awarded to students every year. In fact, my organization alone, Scholarship America, we distributed more than $200 million in scholarships to over 100,000 students. So they are out there. They may not be, you know, like I said, big enough to pay for all of your expenses, but if you think about it, if you can string some together and they add up, and all of that money, again, helps you reduce the amount of money that you're going to need potentially to borrow. So it's all a good thing. The best part of scholarships too is, unlike loans, these are funds that don't need to be paid back. They are not loans; they're grants, like they're financial awards. They're usually given in recognition of something. Yes, sometimes it's about, you know, achievements that you've had, whether in school or out of school. Sometimes it's recognition for who you are or what you belong to, things that you've participated in. So there's all kinds of different reasons that people give out scholarships and how you qualify. But the point is, the big point is, they don't have to be paid back. But you shouldn't look at scholarships as some kind of a handout or a charity either. While people do give these dollars because they care about you, they're giving them to you because they're investing in you. They believe that as a student, you are going to do great things with the education that you're going to get, and ultimately you're going to pay it back in the future and help our society. So really, there's one thing I want you to take away from today, is that scholarships are an investment in you, and they're an important investment. So treat them that way. If you do get a scholarship, make sure you understand that it's because somebody believes in you and they want you to do good things with it. So let's take a look then. As you think about scholarships, it's really important that you look at this as almost a little bit of a part-time job, okay? So don't think of it as, oh, there's a scholarship available, the due date is next week, so I'm going to quick throw together an application. You can do that. You might not be as successful. You really want to spend the time in preparation. Really get yourself ready to make sure you are putting your best foot forward, because you are going to be competing with other people for these scholarships. So here's some tips just for you to think about in terms of how you get yourself ready and prepared to put the best scholarship application forward to the best scholarship opportunities that you can. The first thing to do is really what we call take a personal inventory, and what I mean by that is that you really want to spend some time reflecting on who you are, what your goals are in life, what you want to study, what you have been doing, kind of what, just in general, what makes you stand out. And don't think that you have to be some super duper whiz kid or, you know, the big athlete or whatever it is. Everybody is unique. Everybody brings really amazing things to the table, and I think what you want to do when you take this personal inventory, it's sort of like writing your own little autobiography in a way. Just think about all the different things that you've been involved in, what's important to you, your family background, again, what you want to do in the future. Write it all out, because that's going to save you time. When you do, and sometimes you will find a scholarship opportunity and the deadline's like in 2 days. You don't want to have to think about this stuff from scratch. You want to have it ready, set aside. You can easily cut and paste what you've written in your personal inventory or your profile and put it into the scholarship application. Saves a ton of time, really helps you to think through how to set yourself apart. And then along with that sort of personal inventory, excuse me, think about creating what we call a scholarship resume. And a scholarship resume is very much like a job resume, right? Where you write down all of the different accomplishments, the different things that you've been involved in, the dates next to them. Again, just track it and write it all out on a piece of paper or on your computer, so that again you're able to easily populate it into the different applications that you'll be filling out. It also helps a ton to do this ahead of time, because we often forget things that we've been involved in. You may have forgot about that really cool service project that you did when you were 14 years old. Well, you shouldn't, because that counts. So make sure you take the time to really think about all the great things you've done in your life so far. Have a parent, family member, friend, teacher, somebody look that over again, because you may have forgotten something and they might remember something that you forgot. So take the time to do that. And then you want to make sure your materials are organized, not just the pieces that you've written out ahead of time, but you want to make sure that you, as you're searching for scholarships, you understand what deadlines are coming up and you've got things organized in terms of when things are due. So again, deadlines don't just pop up on you and you have to scramble at the last minute. Really organize everything, including those timelines and due dates. So, and then of course, start looking. You'll want to look early, you'll want to look often, and you'll want to look in as many places as possible for the different scholarship opportunities available to you. So let's take a look now at where some of those scholarship opportunities are. Now, these days, the first thing everybody does, right, is run to the internet, and that's a great thing. Google is a great thing. And it is for scholarships as well. You can find literally hundreds of thousands of different scholarship opportunities listed online today, which can be a little overwhelming too. So some tips that I have for you, again, if you look at, if you've done your homework and you've thought about who you are and what you want to do, that can help you narrow your scholarship search. For instance, if you know you want to go into nursing, you don't need to see 400 scholarships for people who are going into math, right, or some other field. That just won't apply to you. So again, do what you can to kind of narrow your search before you start searching. I put on screen right now, you should see these are just a few of the internet resources, kind of some of the best ones out there for you in terms of where you can start looking. There are lots of different scholarship search engines available. FastWeb is the biggest one. And Scholarship America is connected with FastWeb. In a lot of ways. So I put those two together. But Scholarship America, we do list some scholarships on our website, and I'll show you a few of those in a second here. There's also scholarships.com, scholarshiphelp.org, zinch.com is a really neat site, collegescholarships.org, collegeboard.com is a great website. Not just for scholarships, but a lot of other great information about helping you get ready for college and thinking about all the other various things you have to do around that. So try to find websites like College Board, which kind of do a lot of different things, I think, and Scholarship America is another website like that, where you can get a lot of different information around college preparation. And then also check your state. Whatever state you're in has some sort of Office of Higher Education. They're called different things in different states, but every state has one, and they will often also list scholarships, and sometimes those scholarships or grants are available just to those people in those states, and they're state funded, so you definitely want to make sure you're looking at that resource. And then when we think about scholarships, there's really two ways to think about them. There are private, what we call private outside scholarships, and then there are the institutional scholarships. And what I mean by institutional scholarships are those scholarships that are given by the college or university themselves. So the bullets that I listed, all of the bullets here except for that last one, those are all outside private scholarships. The college websites, so if you're looking at going to XYZ University, you want to go to their site and look at what scholarships they offer internally as well. So they both count. They're both great, but just kind of two ways to think about that. Okay, I said that I would show you some scholarships, just a few right now that are listed on our site. And I do this just to kind of give you an example too of what is out there. This is just a tiny minutiae, scratching of the surface. But these are some nice scholarships that we have open right now. The AXA Achievement Community Scholarship. These are fairly significant scholarships of $2,500 each. As you can see there, the due date is coming up February 1st. So if you are interested in that one, you're going to want to act quickly. The Buick Achievers Scholarship Program, so I think we all know Buick, the car maker, right, from General Motors. They do a huge scholarship every year that we, at Scholarship America, we help them administer that scholarship. And this is very significant money, and they give many of them away. You do have to be going into the engineering, technology, design, or business-related programs of study. So again, here's going back to what is it that you want to do, and if none of these things are something that you want to do in life, that's fine. Then don't even bother looking at this one. So that's part of that preparation, is knowing who you are, what you want to do. And the ACT Foundation, I put this one on here because one of the things I want to make sure you all know is that scholarships are not just for the high school graduating senior going into their first year of college. Most of them are. But there are many scholarships that are available for students once they're already in college, and this is one example. So this is actually for students who have already, this particular scholarship program is for students who have already completed that first year of college but need money for that second year. So make sure you don't stop looking for scholarships even when you're in college. That's really important. They are out there for you. And then the other thing I wanted to say about the scholarship search, so in addition to websites, as you know, social media is a big, plays a big role in our lives these days, and scholarship search is nothing different. You can use Twitter and Facebook and other means of social media to help you connect up and find different scholarships as well. I just offer a few Twitter handles here for you to consider. There are probably others, but I would encourage you to use social media to your benefit when you're thinking about applying or looking for scholarships, applying for scholarships, and even colleges. One of the things that I wanted to say, though, about social media, because I know so many of you students are using it, it is a great tool, as I said, to help you find scholarships, to help you put your best foot forward, but it can also be the reverse. If you're not thinking about and being careful about what you're putting online right now, if you think that people aren't going to see it, you're wrong. Somebody will see it. What you put online is not private, no matter what anybody tells you. And this is important because colleges, more and more, are looking at, when they get an applicant from a student, more and more of them are going out and checking out their Facebook or their Instagram or to see if they're on Twitter, etc. So do be aware of that. The old adage is, you know, anything that you wouldn't tell your grandma, don't put it online, right? So just be cautious about that. However, on the flip side of it, you can really use social media to your advantage. So again, think about scholarship search like a job search. What is it that you want people to know and see about you? So if you do have a Facebook page, hey, instead of posting about the last party or football game you went to, why don't you put stuff up there about the really cool things that you've been doing? Or maybe you can post, if you're an artist, something that you've created, or if you're a musician, post something that you have developed. That can be a great way to showcase who you are and just again help you get that leg up on the competition. And then as you're looking for scholarships, the internet, social media, that's all great and definitely good tools that you should check out, but don't forget what's in your backyard, because this is honestly some of the best scholarship opportunities you're going to find are things that are local. So your best source for those local scholarships or what's available is your high school counselor. If you have a career college center in your high school, or just even your high school counselor, and if you're already in college, your college counselor, these are great resources for you. They typically amass lists of scholarships that are available in your local community, so make sure that you are connecting up with them. College fairs, if you have any college fairs that are going on through your high school or in the community, make sure you check those out. Those will oftentimes have scholarship opportunities available. Employers are another great source for scholarships. So if your parent or guardian works for a company, make sure to ask them if they have any scholarships that are specifically for children of employees. Many companies do something like that. Also, if you have a job yourself, say for instance you work at Burger King, well, Burger King has a fantastic scholarship program for Burger King employees. So, and many others do as well. So check out employers. Also, any churches or unions or civic groups, clubs that you or your parents or family members belong to, that can also be a great source. And then word of mouth. Nothing beats word of mouth. Just ask around, find out what people are doing, what they're applying to. If you know people who received scholarships in the past, maybe students who are a few years older than you, find out what they did. Make sure you ask everybody you know. It's a good way to find out some new information. The last thing I want to say about searching for scholarships, and I almost hate to put this slide in here because, I really think it's terrible that people prey on people, but unfortunately it happens. There are scams out there you do have to be aware of, okay? The first rule is never pay anyone or any company entity to pay for searching for scholarships. Hopefully what you just learned from me is that there's so much information out there on scholarships that's absolutely free, and nobody should be charging you to search for scholarships. The other thing is never pay to apply for a scholarship. That's absolutely never should happen. Scholarship applications should be free. Doesn't mean that just because you fill one out you're automatically going to get a scholarship, but you shouldn't have to pay any kind of application or processing fee. Stay away from those. They're not worth it. There's so many other great ones that don't charge, and they shouldn't charge. The other thing is if you get some kind of a mailing or emailing and it just has all these great sounding things like guaranteed to win a scholarship or claim your money now, those are probably scams. I mean, if it sounds too good to be true, it's usually too good to be true. So really watch out for those hyperbole statements. Don't believe the hype. And just really do your homework and search. And there's plenty of great opportunities out there for you to find. Nobody's going to come running to you, though, and just hand you money. It just doesn't happen. And then finally, protect your personal information. Look, nobody should be calling you and asking you for your credit card number, asking you for your bank number. Some scholarships will require you to put financial information, especially if it's a financially need-based scholarship. They may ask you to include information from the FAFSA. Hopefully you all know what a FAFSA is by now. That is the federal free application for financial aid. That's okay, as long as you know it's a reputable scholarship provider. You often do have to provide that financial information, but it shouldn't be anything like that has your bank accounts or your credit card information or anything like that. So again, just be cautious when it comes to personal financial information. Talk it over with your family, your guardians, and figure out what feels comfortable to you in terms of providing that information. So now you've done your preparation, you've done your searching, you know which scholarships you want to apply to, You know all about those scholarships because you've read all of the criteria, right? You want to make sure that you meet their basic minimum criteria. You know when those due dates are. You've got everything organized. Now you're ready to sit down and actually do the applications. So the first thing you're going to want to do is really, again, and this is about making sure you really read the information about each scholarship program because they're all different. You want to understand what the sponsor, the organization or the entity that is giving out the scholarship, you want to understand what their goals are, what they're looking for. Again, you want to make sure that you are a great fit for that. And you're not going to be a great fit for every scholarship, and that's okay, and you can weed through them and set those ones aside. So really understand what your sponsor, the scholarship sponsor, is looking for. Thinking before you write sounds kind of silly, but it's really, really important, again, that you take the time to be as reflective as possible, to be as comprehensive as possible, really putting your best foot forward. Following instructions. Again, shouldn't have to say it, but you would be amazed at how many scholarship applications come in and the student or the applicant clearly did not read the instructions, and those just get thrown out, and that's a shame. You don't want to spend all of this time and effort and just have your scholarship thrown out. So really, again, give yourself enough time to really understand the goals, think before you write, and follow instructions. And then lastly, this is really important, if they ask a question but it doesn't apply to you, don't just leave the question blank. At the very least, just write in "does not apply." And the reason that it's important to do that is if you leave it blank, whoever is reading that scholarship application has no idea. They may think you just skipped over it. They may think you didn't follow the instructions. They may think you were lazy. You don't want that. Make sure you never leave a question blank. Put in it doesn't apply to you, that's fine. Just say "does not apply." And then when you're talking about yourself in these scholarship applications, it's sort of like what your English teacher would tell you, right, when you're writing a paper. Don't just tell me, show me, right? So give concrete examples, really be illustrative in what you're saying about yourself or your experience or whatever it is. And if you need help, if you're not a natural writer or you don't like to write, ask people for help. Ask your English teacher or ask your friend or neighbor, parent, whoever you have in your life that doesn't mind writing, that can help you, offer you some tips, etc. Ask people to proofread your applications, particularly your essays. If there are essay questions, you do not want to turn something in with spelling mistakes, with really poor grammar and poor punctuation and all that stuff. Really think of this like a college paper or, a paper for your, excuse me, for your English teacher. Turn in your scholarship applications early, if at all possible, and make sure it's going to the right place. If it's online, make sure you've got, you're sending it to the appropriate place. And particularly if the scholarship application is online, do not wait till the last minute. So if the due date is, March 1st at 12 or 11:59 p.m., don't wait till 11:58 p.m. because here's what happens. Everybody else is doing that too, and then sometimes servers crash and your application doesn't go through. So if at all possible, give yourself plenty of time, turn it in early, just in case something happens, you've got some leeway time there. Now, if it's a paper-based application, and I know, why are there still paper-based applications? I don't know, but there are. If you have one like that, make sure you put your name on every page of the application. So if it's a 6-page application, your name should be somewhere on each sheet of that application, and here's why. Because oftentimes scholarships are reviewed by a committee, and they will pull apart pieces of the application. So they'll have some people on the committee will just be reading the essays, some people will be reading this piece. And it's possible that if your name isn't on it, it could get lost in the shuffle. So that's kind of Small but important thing to do. And then again, as I said earlier, ask for help if you need it. There's nothing wrong with that. You want to put your best foot forward, so get as much support as you can. People are really willing to help, and they love to see that students are taking that initiative. And you never know what could come out of that as well when you ask for help. So get prepared, start early, get all that stuff written down, do your scholarship search, figure out the best ones that are for you, make sure you know all of the timelines, all of the criteria, and then take enough time for you to really fill out a good application and ask for help. Those are kind of the big pieces when you're talking about putting your best foot forward and putting an effective application together. Now, you've done that, you've sent in your application, and a couple months later you get the great news that you have been selected and you're going to receive that scholarship. That's fantastic, and you should feel so proud of yourself, because honestly, as I said, it is competitive. Depending on who you're applying to, you could be competing with thousands of students. If it's a small local program, you may only be competing with 10 or 20 students, but you're still competing with other people, and the fact that you're getting a scholarship is a great accomplishment. But it doesn't end there. It doesn't end with just that great feeling and a check. You really need to take the time to understand the policies that go along with your scholarship. And what I mean by that is, when does the scholarship provider, when are they going to issue the check? How are they going to issue the check? What do they need from you in order to release that money? There's oftentimes more that goes into it. You really want to pay attention to those details, because I can tell you firsthand, we work with over 500 local scholarship organizations across the country, and every year they have to beg and plead with students to get them to turn in the information that they need so they can cut the check. And you'd be surprised at how many times a student does not turn in the information, and so they never get the money. The money just has to go back in the pot. Scholarship organizations don't like that. They want to give you the money, but you have to understand that there's certain regulations they have to follow and certain information that they need in order to cut that check. So please, read the information, read the deadlines, give the information that the scholarship provider is looking for, and do it in a timely way. You also want to, and this is really important, you want to understand the college or university that you're going to go to. When you get your scholarship, you want to know how they are going to use your scholarship. Now that may sound silly. Well, they're going to use my scholarship and it's going to pay for my tuition. Not necessarily. There are some colleges and universities who they will give you, say for instance, they'll tell you, if you come here, we will give you a $5,000 grant. And that's a grant from their own funds, right? So it's assistance that they're going to give you to come to their institution. It's sort of like it's not really, they're not really giving you money. It's like a price reduction. So they're going to reduce the price of college by $5,000. And then you say, great, well, I have this $1,000 scholarship too. And if they say, okay, well, then you come with your $1,000 and we will reduce the price by $4,000. You see what just happened there? You're not getting ahead. You're still getting $5,000 off, but now you've brought $1,000 and they've reduced theirs by $1,000. That's what you don't want to have happen. You want to make sure that they will not reduce the grant money that they would have given you anyway, even if you bring in a scholarship. So that's something that you need to talk to the financial aid director at your college and university. When you find out you get a scholarship, make that phone call, talk to them about it. And like I said, more times than not, it's going to be fine, but it is something that you should do, just it's a good practice. And then the last two bullets, I just really, these are important. These are really important, guys, because as I said, people are making an investment in you. People are donating their hard-earned money. They're making contributions to this scholarship fund. And it's really important that you say thank you. It goes a long way. There's two reasons for this. First of all, it's just the right thing to do. But second of all, you never know what could come of this. You create a relationship with a donor. Some of these people are pretty wealthy. Some of them have very big connections in some big companies or some big industries. You create a relationship with them. You show them how grateful you are. You continue to reach out to them once a year, tell them how you're doing, how much the scholarship meant to them. You never know what kind of opportunity could come your way from that. The other thing is that these folks who give their dollars, when they are thanked like that, they're more likely to continue giving. So you're actually paying it forward. You're helping the next class of students have access to scholarships. So please be sure to say thank you. Think about how you can give back. Think about how you can maintain a relationship with either that specific donor or that organization that has given you money. Okay? And then just we'll get to some questions here. I know I see a lot of questions coming through, but I want to end, and I'll keep this slide up so you have plenty of time to jot the information down. These are some additional resources I really want you to consider signing up for as you continue thinking about scholarships, because they're very helpful. One is a guide about how to afford college. You've heard a lot of great information today. You're going to continue to hear more information. This is another resource for you. It's absolutely free. The second one is a blog. It's a weekly blog that you can sign up for. So you would get notifications each week about different blog posts, different articles about looking for scholarships, applying for scholarships, scholarships that are available. I really recommend you sign up for this blog. It's extremely helpful. You could, in many cases, be the first ones to know about certain scholarships that are opening. So do think about signing up for this blog. It is through U.S. News and World Report and Scholarship America. It's a partnership. It's a really informative piece. So with that, I am going to look at some questions, and we will see. Let's see some of the questions here. Please send in your questions if you have one now. Kendall asks where one would see the scholarship requirements. So where would you see what they're requiring from you to be eligible for a scholarship? All of the scholarships that you're looking at when you go to their website, or like I said, if it's a paper-based scholarship, they will all have the criteria listed out. All of the minimum qualifications should be listed very clearly about what they're looking for. So again, we just want to make sure that you're looking for that. If it's not obvious to you, don't hesitate to call the organization and ask that question. This question is, will earning an outside scholarship take away from your merit or financial aid scholarship? So here again, this is what I was talking about why it's important to check with the college and university that you're going to be attending. Your outside private scholarship, so if you're getting a scholarship from XYZ organization in your hometown, you should not, the college or university should not reduce the scholarships or grants that they are giving. Now, what you get from the federal government or state governments or anything like that, that's not what we're talking about here. It's what the college or university is saying that they're going to give to you from their own funds. They should not reduce those. They should work with you. If you're in an over-award situation, they should work with you and figure it out, but they should not reduce what they're giving. So make sure that they don't do that. If they are going to do that, you might want to think twice, or just really appeal to them, or make sure your scholarship provider knows that, and they may be able to step in and help as well. Let's see. A few questions on international students that are seeking scholarships. There absolutely are scholarships available for international students. That is just something that you're going to want to put in the, when you're searching for scholarships online, just make sure you're putting in scholarships for international students. You also want to check with the college and university that you're looking to go to. They oftentimes will have special scholarships, and if they're not scholarships, they might be a grant aid that they would give to an international student. So I would say definitely when you're doing a Google search, search for international scholarships, and then also check with the college and university. This is a great question that Susanna posted. She said, how can I make myself stand out if I have an average GPA and I'm not a low-income student, but I'm applying for scholarships? It's a great question. And what it's important for you all to know is scholarships don't all just go to the top GPA students. They don't all go to low-income students. Those are actually myths about scholarships. In fact, there are many, many scholarships available that will recognize you for other things that you have done, other extracurricular activities that you've done, volunteer things that you've done. So those are a couple of ways, Susanna, I would say to really boost your chances are to get involved as a volunteer, take on some leadership roles, get involved in some extracurricular activities, take on some leadership roles there, and really, here again, when you think about preparing, think about how you can really set yourself apart. So you may not have the best GPA, but you know what? You can demonstrate, show, again, in your writing, that you are a persistent person, that you are a hard worker, that you have big goals and dreams. Just think about how to really make people understand and know who Susanna is and what she wants to do in her life. And then look for scholarships too that obviously don't require if your GPA is, a 3.0 and the minimum qualifications say 3.5, well, you're not going to apply for that one. Make sure you look for scholarships that have, where you're in the range for that GPA. And again, some of the scholarships don't even have a GPA requirement. So just keep that in mind. They don't all go to the straight A student, and they don't always go to the lowest income student. Jennifer asks if there's still such a thing as a full ride scholarship. As I mentioned at the outset, there are, but they're pretty few and far between. And as you can imagine, they're extremely competitive. And even when you say full ride scholarship, even the best student athlete, and usually it's in the big sports like football or basketball, hockey, those types of sports. Even the best ones that get the full ride scholarship, it still doesn't pay for everything. You may have heard recently on the news, I think it was maybe 6 months to a year ago, there was a lot of controversy about student athletes, many of them who get full rides, but they come from very poor backgrounds. They're not able to pay for food when school's not in session. They're not able to pay for their books. And so even though the tuition and the room and board and that is paid for, they still struggle with a lot of those other expenses. So I would say that even full ride is not completely full ride. And that there again is where scholarships can help fill the gap. So even if it's a scholarship just to help you cover your cost of your books or some of your other incidental expenses, it can be really worth it. This question is from Marcia, and it's about being homeschooled. I'm really glad you asked this, Marcia, because there actually are many scholarships that are available for homeschooled students. In fact, many scholarship providing organizations make it a point to include homeschool students in the eligibility pool. You should definitely you're still a part of a school district, so you should definitely contact the school district, find out what's available, and again, look online, look at other sources within your community, church groups, civic groups that you might be involved in or know about or know somebody who's involved in. I would say those are all good resources, and as I said, many of them do include homeschooled students in their eligibility pool. Marilyn's asking where are some good places to look for scholarships besides the big scholarship sites. And I'm glad you asked that. We talked about this a little bit earlier, but I'm happy to repeat it. While the big scholarship search engines are great, and I do think that you should use them because you're going to have access to things that you would not have had access to before. It's really important to look in your own backyard. And what I mean by that is start with the high school counselor, or as I mentioned just earlier, the school district, as well as look at some of those other local organizations and groups in your community. Because while the national scholarship search sites are great and will have tons of stuff that's applicable to you, you're probably also going to be competing with that many more students for those funds, whereas the local scholarships, and when I say local, even if you live in a big city, that's still considered local, and there's neighborhoods and communities within big cities. So make sure that you are, drilling down to as local as possible, because you'll be competing with less students usually. Let's see. Oh, that's a great question. Is it better to go to a school like Harvard or Yale who keep your outside scholarship funds, or go to a state school? Look, that's really an individual question, but I'm glad you asked it, because it is important to know that some of the schools, I mentioned earlier that some schools, they should not be, displacing your outside scholarship. However, some of the big schools, the big Ivy schools that she mentions here, like Harvard and Yale, in that case it's a little bit different, because they are really, if you qualify, they will essentially pay for a lot of it. So it really depends on the school. When I said that earlier, I was not thinking of the big Ivy leagues. So that's a decision you're going to have to make. Obviously, there's a lot of prestige that comes along with going to a school like that. You're just going to have to weigh the financial differences. If Harvard or Yale are offering you more than the state school, and even if you have to forego your personal outside scholarship, but you're still getting a better deal at Harvard and Yale, absolutely. And if it's what you want to do, and if it's a good fit in every other way, go for it. But you should definitely always comparison shop, and look at the best deal you can get and for the best education. This is a good question. If you go to an online school, can you still apply for scholarships from your local school district? Again, every scholarship provider is going to have their own rules and regulations about how you use and where you can use your scholarship. But in most cases, I would say in most cases, as long as the online school is accredited, then you should be able to use your scholarship there. So, but again, every organization gets to make their own rules, so you want to look at that. If you've got your heart set on an online school, make sure that you understand if you're applying for a scholarship that you can use it at that online school. But again, if it's an accredited school, meaning it's legitimate, shouldn't be a problem typically. So I think that I have looked at most of these questions. And we are almost nearing the end of our time, but I will be available for another minute or two if anybody has another question. Oh, so Jennifer was actually talking about what if she was an online high school student. Again, it just depends on the scholarship providing organization. If you're getting a high school degree, it shouldn't matter how you got the degree, as long as it's, again, it's legitimate, you can see a transcript, etc. It shouldn't be an issue, but you're just going to have to check with each of those scholarship organizations to make sure that they do accept online high school classes as well as traditional classes. Let's see. The transcripts, question about transcripts, usually most scholarship providers are going to require some kind of a transcript, some kind of proof that shows that you did take the classes that you said you did, that you do have the GPA that you do have. So always, that's another reason why you should make sure you're giving yourself plenty of time. Don't wait till the last minute to fill out a scholarship form, because then you got to track down your transcript. Make sure that you're giving yourself plenty of time. You know what the requirements are ahead. You're talking to your counselor. You know how to get your transcript available, or if it needs to be uploaded into a system, that you make sure that your counselor, your school counselor, is prepared to do that for you. So that's a great question. Be prepared to provide transcripts, letters of reference. Those types of things are very common in scholarship applications. Oh, Susanna, the same girl who asked about standing out with the GPA, if you have an average GPA and an aren't low income. I'm happy to repeat the answer, Susanna. I'm sorry that the server crashed at that time. This is good information again for you all to hear, because not everybody can be the straight A student. Not everybody has a really financial need, but the thing of it is, there are plenty of scholarships available to students who aren't the straight A students. There's plenty of scholarships available for that don't even consider financial need. They don't care what your circumstances. I think a few things to think about when you want to stand out is think about all of the things that you have done, not just in school but outside of school, your extracurricular activities. Volunteering and community service is a big thing. Leadership roles. Really, if you want to stand out and you don't have the best GPA, I would say get involved in those things, or if you already are involved, make sure that you're doing as much as you can within those activities to make the biggest difference. And then, as I said earlier, really think about how you make yourself stand out as a person. How are they going to know who you are, and what your dreams are, what your goals are, what you've had to overcome. Maybe you've had a struggle in your life, something that you've really worked hard to push through. A lot of times scholarship providers love those stories of students overcoming obstacles. They love the stories of students who persist. Even if you're not the straight A student, they see that you're a hard worker, you persist. Ultimately, they just want to know that you're going to be successful, so however you can show them that, that's how you're going to stand out. I hope that helps. Oh, great question from Sherry. Should a high school junior start applying for scholarships? Yes, yes, and yes. You should, if you're not applying, you should at least be doing all of the prep work now that I talked about at the beginning of the presentation. Start thinking about who you are, what you want to do, what's important to you. Get your profile in order, start your scholarship resume, and then start your searching process now. So even though if they don't allow you to apply as a junior, hey, you're going to hit the ground running next fall as a senior, and you're going to be way ahead of the game. So absolutely, juniors, even sophomores in high school should be really starting this scholarship search and preparation as soon as possible. Okay, the question about the transcript was about this podcast, and yes, College Week Live posts all of these online live presentations, so you will be able to go back into College Week Live after this is over and click on the link and be able to see this and watch it again, share it with people. That's great. So sorry about that, I misunderstood your question. And just a couple more, we have like 2 more minutes. Same thing, this will be posted, so if you missed anything in these slides, although I can go back, somebody's wanting to see the Twitter accounts or Twitter handles I posted, so that's there. But if you did miss anything, it will be available to you. Final question, this is a good one. Amy says, can you give some examples of local community organizations that may have scholarships to offer? Yes, I certainly can. So the organization that I work for, we have around 550 or so local scholarship organizations, and they're all called Dollars for Scholars. So it's something dollars for scholars. So Clear Lake Dollars for Scholars or whatever. That's usually the name of the town, and then Dollars for Scholars. So if you happen to live in a community that has a Dollars for Scholars organization, definitely check it out. If you want to know if your community has a Dollars for Scholars, you can go to the scholarshipamerica.org website, and there's a link on there to find, it's called Find an Affiliate, and you can do a search and see if there's an organization near you. In addition to Dollars for Scholars, many other organizations and communities, such as like Kiwanis clubs, the Rotary Club, sometimes, like I said, other civic groups, employers in your community, businesses in your community, the bank, church groups. There's all kinds of organizations within a community that oftentimes will give out scholarships. And the best place to know about what's available in your community is going to be your high school. It's going to be your high school guidance counselor. That's usually where all those scholarship organizations, they make sure that they're listed with your high school. So that's usually how the best place to find it. Okay, so we've come to the end. I really want to thank you all. You've been great questions. I hope this has been helpful for you. I wish you all the best of luck. It's going to be fun. You know, may not sound like fun, I get it, but if you think about it, if you spend a couple of hours doing this stuff and you walk away with $500 or $1,000, I challenge you to find any job that's going to pay you that much money per hour. So think of it like that. It's a job, but it's going to have great payoff for you in the end, and I wish you all luck. Thanks so much. Bye.